I watched Mason and Maddie sitting in front of the tree, their faces glowing red, blue, and green from the twinkling lights. Their eyes danced with excitement, trying to decide which gift to open, but only after Marion finishes with the supper dishes. The air smells faintly of cinnamon and pine, the heat from the oven lingering even as the cold air from outside presses against the windows. It's the same every year. The O'Leary family tradition. One gift and one gift only on Christmas Eve. Growing up, we begged Ma and Dad to let us open just one more, but it was always the same answer. No dice. Those are good memories. Good, clean memories. Unlike the year we opened none. I take a sip, watching the kids with a smile. It's funny how the scene feels so familiar. That could easily be me, Charlie, and Jenny sitting there, eagerly eyeing a gift, waiting for our turn. My thoughts slip back to that Christmas. I wasn't much older than Mason is now, maybe 7 or 8 years old. I feel the burn of the rum as it slides down my throat with the next sip. Firewater, my dad used to call it. And when things really went south, my older brother Charlie dubbed it the devil's piss. I'm not sure why my mind keeps drifting back to that Christmas. It wasn't exactly a hallmark moment. I remember we had supper at Nanny and Poppy's that Christmas Eve. When I say we, I mean Nanny, Ma, me, and my siblings. Dad and Poppy stayed in the garage the whole visit, talking shop and keeping to themselves. As we got ready to leave, Ma sent Charlie out to get Dad. He came out of the garage, stumbling a bit, a grin plastered across his face, as if he had just come from the best party in the world. I could tell Ma wasn't happy about it, but at the time, I didn't understand why. She didn't say much, just hurriedly dropped the plate with Dad's supper onto my lap. "Hold this for your father, Chris," she said, her voice tight. "I've got to drive." And then she slammed the car door with such force that it echoed through the night. I didn't think about Ma and Dad. I just wanted to get home to open a gift. The car barely rolled to a stop before Charlie, Jenny, and I were out the door and running for the front steps. I didn't even wait to see if Dad was behind me. "Wait up," Jenny called as she caught up to us, tugging at the hem of my jacket. We were in the living room in seconds, faces lit by the glow of the tree, each of us already in that frenzied state, eyes darting from one gift to another, trying to pick the one that was calling to us. Dad made his way to the bathroom, telling us to wait. "Hurry up, Dad," Jenny yelled, shaking one of the presents with a gleam in her eye. "I'm coming as fast as I can," he called back, his voice thick, like he was trying to hold on to something. "Ida, you got some of that special eggnog for me?" I glanced over at the side table beside his chair, relieved to see the glass of eggnog already placed on the coaster. All I could think about was tearing into the presents, trying to get to the moment we had been waiting for all year. Ma was in her rocking chair, gliding back and forth, her eyes on us but distant, lost in some thought. Then, a loud thud shattered the moment, followed by more, one after another, heavy thumps. Dad had fallen down the stairs. We froze, all of us, as the sounds of his body crashing echoed in the quiet house. Ma was up in an instant, her feet pounding against the floor as she rushed to his side. Her voice cracked when she called out to him. "Can you move, James?" she asked, though we all knew the answer. Dad's face contorted with pain as he tried to lift himself. A scream tore from his throat, raw and desperate. "It's my hip! Jesus Christ, Ida, my damn hip!" Ma didn't waste any time. "Charlie, call the ambulance," she barked, and then she turned to me, her hands shaking but trying to steady herself. "Christopher, get your father a pillow. Hurry." I moved fast, my heart hammering in my chest as I grabbed the nearest cushion and shoved it under Dad's head. His body was crumpled, twisted in ways that didn't look right. He lay there, helpless, his breath coming in sharp, ragged gasps. His one eye had already started swelling, bruising quickly as the blood rushed to it. Ma kept talking to him, soothing him the best she could, but Dad just kept crying. It was the kind of cry I'd never heard before. Not the angry shouts or the chuckles after a long drink, but real pain. The kind that makes you feel small. The kind that shakes the whole room. We waited in silence, except for Dad's cries and Ma's calming words. The minutes dragged on, stretching into eternity, as we listened for the sound of sirens, the faintest hope that someone would come and take him away from this. Nanny arrived, Ma sent her to stay with us while she went to the hospital with Dad. That night, we didn't have any of our usual Christmas Eve traditions. No one laughed over eggnog or scrambled for the last piece of chocolate. No one tore open a present, and no one gathered around the TV to watch The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. Dad had broken his hip along with a few ribs. Surgery was needed. The magic of the evening was gone, and with it, a dark cloud descended over that Christmas Eve that we couldn't shake. It wasn't until much later that I realized how much Dad's drinking had played into everything. Before then, I hadn't noticed. After? Well, it was hard not to see. He spent his recovery with Keith's and sometimes the captain. I watch my kids now, sitting around the tree, their faces bathed in the soft glow of the lights. I look at the drink beside me. The glass is almost empty, but my gaze lingers on it. And suddenly, I realize something I've been hiding from myself for a long time. It hits me, like a punch to the gut. I've become my father. Not the man he was before the fall, but the man he became after. The one who would sit at the kitchen table, nursing a drink like it was the only thing that kept him from falling apart. The one who was just functioning, never really there. But maybe that's the trick, isn't it? Tell yourself you're still in control. Tell yourself it's not that bad. The more I drink, the easier it is to believe it. But every sip takes me further down a road I don't want to travel. The weight of it presses down on me. I think about how much I loved him, how much I looked up to him, even after everything that happened. But then I think about that night. The night he fell down those stairs. The thud of his body hitting each step still echoes in my mind. I shudder, but that's not what haunts me. What haunts me is what came after. How the man who had once been my hero became someone I didn't recognize, consumed by the bottle. The booze was all he cared about, and I hated him for it. But even more than that, I hated what it did to him and what it did to me. I don't want to be that man. I don't want to become that. But right now, I feel it slipping, like a slow slide down a dark path I can't turn away from. I'm having an Ebenezer Scrooge moment, I think. Except there's no ghost of Christmas past to show me the way. It's just my own memories, creeping in and pressing against me like shadows, too real to ignore. I almost laugh, but it catches in my throat. Because I'm not some cold-hearted miser, not like Scrooge. I'm just a drunk. A functioning alcoholic, I guess, if I'm being honest. Just like Dad was, until he couldn't function anymore. And then he wasn't just a drunk, he was a miserable one. How long before I lose the functioning part? How long before I can't hide behind that word anymore? Marion walks in the room, and the kids squeal with excitement. This is the moment they've been waiting for. Kids, just wait another sec for Dad, I say as I pick up my glass. I head into the kitchen, and I notice Marion's glance at the glass in my hand. It's not just the glance of a wife who's noticed her husband's late-night habits. It's the glance of someone who knows. The same glance Ma used to give Dad's glass when the rum was a little too strong. That look that says, I know what you're hiding from yourself. I can feel the weight of it. I try to shrug it off, but the weight of her eyes stays with me, pressing down harder than the rum in my stomach. I head into the kitchen. I look out the window above the sink. I think of my father now. Did he lie to himself? Are my kids going to grow up in a house where they won't bring friends home? Will Marion resent me for what I've become? No, I never wanted this. I hear the kids yelling at me to hurry up, and I take a deep breath, holding it in. I stare at the glass in my hand, the weight of it almost unbearable. I know what I should do. I should pour it down the drain. But one last swig won't hurt, right? Just a taste, just for now. The eggnog is sweet, laced with the familiar burn of rum, and for a moment, it feels like a tiny comfort in a world that's anything but. But then I remember. No, I pour the last drop down the drain, rinse the glass, and place it in the sink. I turn to go back to the living room and see the bottle of rum on the counter. It beckons me, but I can't. I tuck it away under the sink. I'll pour it out later.